In this chapter, we're going to look at Premiere's title creation tool, which, as we'll see as we go throughout this chapter, can be used for a variety of things. Now, to create a title, I'm going to go down to the bottom of the project panel, the same way we create a new sequence or a new black video. I'm going to create a new title. I'm going to title this Ron's Credit, and I'm going to go ahead and hit Enter. And that opens up what is called the titler. Now, if you have a current sequence, it will show you the frame, the background video of that particular frame, as long as this button is depressed. If you click it to deselect it, then you can just get a blank slate. But we're actually creating a title for this guy, so I'm going to go ahead and click that back on. I'm going to go ahead and click this button, which is the Type tool, and this is what you'll be using most of the time when you open up the titler. So I'll click this, and I'm going to click and drag a text box that our text will exist in. I'm just going to go ahead and type Ron, and then hit Enter or Return to go to the next line. And I'm going to type Tour Guide. Now, it's not showing up because this is referred to as overset text. It's text that doesn't fit inside of the box that we made because it's a little bit too big. I'm going to go ahead and select the Selection tool, which will allow me to go in here and resize this box temporarily. And then I can double-click inside of it to get a cursor again. And I'm going to click and drag to select all of our text. And then we can go over here to the right-hand side, the Title Properties panel, and click and drag the font size to the left to reduce it until we're getting something about the size of what we're looking for here. Then I could go back to the Selection tool to again resize this box because I do want things to fit inside of this little area here. Now, ideally, I would like Ron's name to be bigger, and I'd like his title to be a little bit smaller. So what I'm going to do is, let's start by changing the justification. I'm going to click the center button to center this. Then I'm going to double click in this text again, click and drag to highlight Tour Guide, and then we'll bring this down a little bit, bring it down in size. Don't have an exact number for you, just depending on the font you're using, just change the size until it looks right to you. I'm going to click and drag to select Ron. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger until Ron takes up about the same size as Tour Guide. And actually, I might go back to Tour Guide and make that a little bit smaller. There we go. Now, I want to change the font of the whole thing. So I'm going to click and drag from the beginning of the R before Ron to the end of Tour Guide. And then we could go to the font family drop down in the properties area, and we could change the font here. I actually want to scroll up here through my fonts. And of course, we'll have different fonts on our different systems here. I'm going to look for a font that looks a little bit more regal. I'm actually going to use Adobe Caslon Pro here, but again, you could use whatever font you prefer. And now, after the change in font, we might want to go back and tweak our sizes, adjust this a little bit more so things match up a little bit better. And actually, what I want to do is make this look even more classy by making these small caps. In other words, I want to take the letters that I've capitalized, R, T, and G, and keep them capitals. But I want to capitalize the other letters as well, but I want them to be smaller capital letters. So I'm going to select all of these letters, and then I'm going to go check this Small Caps checkbox. So again, it's made every letter capitalized, but it's made the ones that I've capitalized myself bigger than the other letters. So now I can get a better view of what I've done with my text here by clicking the Selection Arrow tool and then clicking away from my text just to get a feel again of what this is going to look like. It's good, but I'm thinking Tour Guide's a little bit too thin. It's not showing up quite enough. So what I could do is click my text again, and then scroll down here in the Title Properties panel on the right-hand side. And I'm going to add a shadow here by checking the Shadow checkbox, which has a little bit of a shadow behind it. We could adjust the opacity. We might want it to be a little bit more opaque. We could adjust the angle where the light source is coming from. And we could also adjust the distance to the original text. Kind of like it just kind of medium, as the default was, about 10 there. And we can increase the size of the shadow and the spread of the shadow. I think the defaults are working pretty good for me though, and I'm just going to leave it like that. And what we could do once we're done is go ahead and click the little X here in the upper left-hand corner to close the titler. And then we have a completed title, but it's still in our project panel. So what we need to do now is drag it to the video track 2. And because this is just a still video clip, essentially, we can go ahead and drag this as if it were an image and make that the duration of our project here, our video clip beneath it. And then now we have this cool Ron the Tour Guide title next to his name. And that's how you create a basic title in Premiere Pro. But as we see as we go throughout this chapter, there's a lot more you can do with that little titler area.